Hello, folks. Welcome to our Dinar Perspectives Roundtable call for 26 March 2018. We've been a couple weeks out, and we apologize for the delay in the call, but life happens and things come up. So here we are. I have with me today Kaleigh and Bobby. Howdy, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Pat.
Glad to have you here. We're going to go ahead and just jump right in, being as we've had a couple of weeks off. We're going to just jump right in. But what I want to do is explain something. What we do here is we try to concern ourselves in this investment with the four stabilities that tend to give us a picture of how our investment's going. To do justice by any one of these stability markers would take more than the 1 hour that we're allotted here, or try to stick within, self-imposed, or however you want to put it. So what we're going to try to do is highlight. We're going to start out with some of the questions from the Facebook group, and then we're going to try to highlight some of the stabilities, or some of the points in the four stabilities, and try to help y'all understand, maybe if you have questions, what should I be looking for? What clues help me? Well, these are what we look for, as researchers here. And so they may not be what trips your trigger, but to us, they're the best indicators. And so in the course of some of the questions that we get this evening, we're going to try to elaborate a little bit on that point. So without it taking any longer on the explanation on the front side, I'm going to ask Kaleigh if she wants to start out with one of our questions, and she'll get us started.
I'd love to. Okay, you guys, first one is, how much truth is there to the rumor that the auctions were supposed to end by the first quarter, March 31st? And if they really did say that somewhere, how much credence/hope can we put into it, especially since they were supposed to delete the zeros during the first part of the year?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm going to say that wasn't, it was said by an economic advisor. There was, I know for sure, one article that I saw, but it was not from the CBI or anything like that. So, I guess you'd take that with a grain of salt, really.
And I would support that. I haven't seen it myself either. I don't see, and I might be wrong, but I don't see them talk a lot about quarters. I'm sure that some of the economics folks do, and it tends to be the way the world works is in quarters. And, once they go full-blown like everybody else, then I'm sure quarters will matter more, and we might hear more about it.
I thought I read the wording was the first half or something like that, or the first
yeah, that's
part.
how I see it. They don't really talk in quarters very often.
Right.
So, yeah, it was like the first half of the year. I took that to be anything before July. But,
yeah,
that's relative, I guess. Bobby, what you saying on this?
Yeah, you know what? I do remember an article in December of 17. I think one did mention quarters. But that being said, if you're looking for that date, you have 5 more days left in that. That's some have attributed the comments to a lock and a body. I've asked people about it, but I have yet to see that comment attributed to them. They had an auction today. They had an auction the other day. The only way they're going to stop the auctions is, I think Pat made the comment before, you have to have an alternative to those auctions. The only alternative...
And Bobby, before you go on, if the auctions end, what does that mean for us?
It would mean them paying their remittances in IQD, plain and simple. It would mean taking their currency international. But that being said, if they were to just wake up one day and say, you know what, no more auctions, without an alternative, Iraq would sink into a bigger cesspool than it's been described as. inflation would skyrocket, the economy would plunder. It would just be a disaster
Free fall
for them
Yep.
without the auctions. Yeah, everybody. There is corruption within the auctions, no doubt about it. There's also good within the auction, no doubt about that either. That's how these people pay for their imports.
Well, look at what Alak has accomplished with this porous mechanism. He's kept the dinar stable, and their inflation rate just dropped again. So
yeah.
in other words, it was at 0.03 at one point when I saw it, and then now I'm not sure of the figure, but I did see that they were talking about the inflation number had dropped again. So in other words, this mechanism, for all its problems and how everybody poo-poos it, it is the only thing keeping this a viable currency at the moment, minus an international status.
Yeah. Now, in no way, shape, or form are we promoting the auctions at all. I think they should end. And if they don't end, the IMF has said that there are 4 files as far as corruption within the auctions. Well, okay, everybody's got files. We've always said this before. Everybody's got files. Well, open them. Show me what you have. Or act on those files you have.
There you go.
So, yeah, the auctions do serve a purpose, both for stabilizing the economy and providing for the corrupt. There's no doubt about that. But until you have an alternative solution, it is what it is. Once you open up the economy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you were doing good. I was just going to add that oversight is working. Have we not seen the numbers of those taking part in the auctions drop in a kind of a dramatic fashion? Initially, you started out with 50-plus kind of interaction agents, and then now, what is it, Bobby? It's down to 7, 8?
4.
4. Okay,
4.
So
yeah.
what we're seeing is a minimization of those third-party, if you want to call them, third-party transactions, and now it's closer to just banks and things doing it. You see what I'm saying? Once upon a time, you had it as a part of everyday life, where the street trader came in, did part of his auction there, so that he could make a little bit on his trade, right?
Yeah.
And he goes and takes it down the street. Well, all that stuff's been done away with. Now you have to go through. You have to meet criteria to be able to function in these auctions, and even the ones who met it at one time and come to find out there's issues. Well, they get canned, or they get put to the side, or you see what I'm saying? So the point is, oversight is working. It's just not a free fall.
Yeah, this goes back to the fact of what the CBI has been doing, not just recently, but last year and before. They started issuing letters of credit through the banks and stuff like that for these people to pay for their imports and startups, stuff like that. It's not just the windows where actually, I guess it could be a window, but the banks are involved in this as well. I mean, that's where they come up with, like what Pat said, this oversight. We attribute all the corruption through these currency transfer companies, these windows. It takes place in the bank as well. When people pay for imports, all you got to do is come up with a fictitious invoice, and boom, you're in. And then that money goes overseas, and that's the corrupt aspect of the auction. So it's not just the transfer companies, it's the banks, it's everybody. That's where the CBI comes in and has to do a better job of oversight, check and verify. That's all that is. Nowadays you can get a napkin and write an invoice on it and pretty much clear that one. Oh, you're good. Well, no, the CBI is like, no, don't do that. But with as many employees and banks they have in Iraq, you're not going to have 100% oversight. You deal with it as it comes, and just hope you get the right people in the right positions.
Well, I mean, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I guess to answer their question, I don't see the auctions ending within 5 days. No. Just don't see it. Okay, next.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Back in January, you guys had a call where the consensus was that we were all thought we were so close we could taste it. Excuse me. How about now? How do you feel now? Actually, just start there, and then I'll continue with his question.
Let me take that one, Pat.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, no. You know what? I talked with Kaleigh earlier. Kaleigh, you take this one.
No, I mean, we talked a lot about this, and there's still some stuff that we're waiting for. I mean, it's not just like a flip of a switch. And let me also say that we never said we were so close that we could taste it. I never said that. Pat never said that. Bobby never said that. Skeeter never said that. I think we kind of led to, we're in a great place, but those were never the words that came out of our mouth. Neither here nor there. There's contracts that we're still waiting for, Bobby, that we talked about earlier. There's still a lot of things that we have not seen that we've been waiting for since the donor conference. I mean, you mentioned 6 weeks out from the donor conference. We should be seeing a little bit more, at least in my opinion, of just some action. And there's still some stuff holding that up, I believe.
Very well said. And you know what? I'll add to that in that we're, as a group, we have a different mindset on this investment. Excuse me. As far as the so close, we can taste it. I don't think I ever said that. What I get excited about, and I know what Pat and Kaleigh get excited about, are when we see the progressions towards an open market economy. Through the private sector and through other mechanisms. I get excited about that because I know I'm still in it to win, Yes. And that's what I get excited about. I don't look for dates or anything, or rates or whatever you call them. I look for stuff that they're doing that gets me excited. And the donor conference, like Kaleigh pointed out, got us excited, and it got us excited before, during, and after. Iraq said, we talked about the National Investment Commission. We've talked about a body's open for business and the guarantees to the investors. And then right after the donor conference, they were going to have a meeting that following Monday with all the ambassadors, diplomats, whomever. That happened. Okay, that was good. And then they came out. At first they said they were going to reveal these contracts the first couple weeks of March, and then they came out and said, "Well, we'll produce this at the end of March." Okay, 5 more days, people. So that being said, getting back to the consensus of where we are and stuff, I'm still excited. I'm excited every day. I read about this. There's good and there's bad. That's part of the ride. Sorry, but I choose to look at the potential of what they're doing and what they're telling me they're doing. That's where I get excited. So
you feel like the bad outweighs the good. Sorry, Pat, I didn't mean to interrupt either one of you.
Oh no. That's a good question. Does the good outweigh the bad? It's almost a 60-40. And I'll go and I'll jump out on a limb here. I'll say 60% bad, 40% good. And I'll touch on the bad aspect of it. They have to have the political will to do this. A body made the statement the other day that there are people out there, political people, whatever, business people, whatever, that are sabotaging this private sector launch. Okay, and they don't want it because you're getting away from the state-owned entities, and that's where these ministers and all these political figures make their money. So that's the bad aspect of it, that they have to have the political will to do this. The good aspect is everything that they're trying to do. They're pushing it to the edge, and they just can't get that last little nudge. Will the donor conference be that nudge? We've heard of the what was it, Pat? 20 billion, or is it 30 billion?
30 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they've got 30 billion ready to go into this thing. They've talked about the oversight into this money and how it will progress the implementation of the private sector. So, do all those guarantees, do all those, the reconstruction and investment document, which I hope everybody's read. It's a fascinating piece of work that was produced last month. Will that give them that last little nudge and take it out of the political arena? That's what I'm waiting on. Did that touch the question, Kaleigh?
Yes, I like that. I mean.
Okay, I'm shutting up now, Pat. Go for it.
No, great comments. Kaleigh, if you want to bring the next one.
He had a follow-up, or I guess part of the question, Phil, that said, and excuse my way I'm going to say this because I'm sure I'm going to butcher it. Also, with the petro yen coming online on March 26th, how will this affect the dollar? Does it hurry up an RV?
Ooh, the Chinese yuan becoming a de facto petro currency. That would take decades. I mean, you have to go into what is the most exchangeable currency in the world. It's the U.S. dollar. Everybody yearns for the dollar. I don't think there's a lot of people out there yearning for the yuan. I know China was supposed to come on board today, and you know what? They can write contracts or petro contracts in the yuan all they want. That's fine. There are countries that will use that as a reserve, a currency reserve. I don't think that has any effect on what we're doing, because oil is oil, and oil sells at a benchmark. Last I heard, that benchmark was close to $70 for Brent crude, not getting into the West Texas Intermediate or anything. But I don't think it has any effect. Was that part of the question? As how does this affect us?
Is it going to hurry up the RV?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's going to hurry up. I don't think it's going to slow it down. I think it still boils down to Iraq opening their economy. Period.
Well,
oil sells for a certain benchmark, and those contracts are written 2 to 3 months in advance. How countries choose their foreign currency reserves, totally up to them. I don't care.
Right.
No. Okay. I'm sorry, Pat. What's your thoughts?
I was just going to add that it also kind of points out where people's thinking might be as far as hurry up, slow down, those kind of things. I want to pass along just from me, and if anybody takes it, that's great. If anybody don't, hey, I'm not offended. Look for private sector movement. Do that, and you will quit with what's going to hurry, what's going to slow. If you see private sector movement, activation in the broad sense that we're all hoping for, I'm not talking about the run-up talks to, we're trying to rattle the cage. No. Those are the things that are going to help perpetuate a dinar that is sustainable. Okay? So the yuan coming in, what Venezuela does with their oil, it doesn't matter. It is not a factor for us. I could be proved wrong down the road, Bobby, but I don't think I will be on this point.
We've seen Iraq go to different platforms as far as the selling of their oil. It's all about the better price they can get on the market.
Sure. Who do they have an arrangement with? Vietnam, they got an arrangement for tea for oil.
There you go.
So is that going to hurry up the RV now because tea is at a premium? No. The mechanisms. Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, that's how they trade with Jordan. Jordan gives them goods. What does Iraq give them? Oil.
Right.
You know, I mean that's kind of a long, off the beaten path, but I don't care whether oil sells in yuan or the Mexican peso. I don't care. It's going to take decades, or at least a decade, if China wants to replace the petro basket from dollar to yuan. Good luck with that one. I mean, you may have certain trading partners that deal with the yuan, and it's going to be Russia, whether it be Iran or whatever. I could give a rat's patootie.
I would say that it's going to be I would say the yuan trading for oil would be a localized event. You understand where I'm going with that? Localized and not a broad thing, as in petrodollar trading for oil. Petrodollar, like you say, you can buy stuff in, Saskatchewan, Manitoba with it, but you're not going to be able to have the same parity with a yuan that is supposed to be now a petro yuan. In other words, I don't even think it's useful to Iraq unless it offsets trade with China specifically. I don't think it's I think it's just a way to do business, but doesn't threaten the thing we're looking for.
Well, and China has talked about this for years. They've talked about it for years. Now they did the most recent announcement that it was supposed to come out on the 26th. I haven't looked for it today. I don't know if it's taken effect today, but they're not going to uproot the dollar overnight. Not going to happen. Yeah. It's the dollar is still king, not only in Iraq but throughout the world. And like I said, if you're going through a process, China's currency was recently introduced into the SDRs. The basket, along with the dollar, the British pound, I don't know. There's 5 of them in there. I forgot, but they have every right to go out and promote their currency. But no way in hell are they going to uproot the U.S. dollar as the most acceptable foreign currency reserve. Not going to happen.
I hear you.
Okay.
Next Kaleigh. Kaleigh, do you think we did good? You think we answered that question fairly decently?
Oh, no, yes. I feel like that was answered fully and completely. So, no, I think that was great. Next one is, Bobby, I know that you answered this, but I don't know if Kathy saw it, so I'm just going to ask it and just basically read your answer. And she says, I've been looking every day, but the last auction I could find was on March 20th. Have they stopped? And you said, correct, on the 20th. They haven't stopped completely, just over the holidays. Is there anything else you guys want to add, or is that good?
Nope. This was all part of the what was it, Pat? The Nowruz holiday?
Yeah, Nowruz.
Yeah. That's that new day that people were telling me I was going to be rich. A new day, my butt. But anyway, auctions stopped over the holidays. They started back up yesterday, and we had one today. That's where we get that there were only 4. Yeah, that was surprising. I think Skeeter pointed out that there were 4 transfer companies involved. Very good stuff.
Wow.
Okay, next.
Wow. That is
next
weird.
one. It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Go ahead with your next question.
Next question is, what would keep them from not having an RV? I am kind of from not having an RV. That's what gets me.
I'll go back to Pat on that one, because Pat just mentioned it a few minutes ago about the private sector. Support and sustain.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll add what was it? What would keep them from not having an RV?
From not having an RV, yeah.
Yeah, not being able to support and sustain it. I mean, that's the bottom line. They could do the proverbial flip the switch right now, and it would kill them. It would absolutely kill them. Unless they can support and sustain the value of their currency, That goes. I mean, that goes along many lines of. First, you have to open up your economy. That goes toward your gross domestic product, supporting your national product, cutting down on, such a high percentage of imports to exports.
And we've seen some momentum on that. They just banned fish imports. I mean,
fish imports.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say there was a thing,
but that's something,
Yeah, there was an article that came out this morning about supporting the national product.
Right.
That's what they have to do. They're stopping a lot of these imports, and there's a lot of it through the ag sector. Pat mentioned the fish. I mean, just something as small as we saw 2 months ago that they stopped importing tomatoes.
Yep.
And everybody's like, okay, big deal. No, it is a big deal because it's supporting their national product, which is the ag sector, which is they just recently. Yeah, and they just recently started exporting. What was it, gravel or something to Kuwait? Okay, well that's good. They can export oil every day. But let's start cutting down on our imports of of what sustains Iraq: food, clothing, everything else, and let's start promoting our own product to sustain it. So yeah, it all comes down to a simple. What's stopping the RV? Well, they're not able to support and sustain the value of the dinar and or the economy. Right. Boom. Next.
Boom. Okay. I am interested. That was good. I like it. I'm interested in your opinions about the transitional period from program rate de facto peg to true market valuation of Iraqi's currency, or of Iraq's currency, excuse me.
Whoa. That was a deep one.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought.
Wow.
He goes, here it goes. Yep. And then boom. He says, I don't have a point of reference for a timeline, for example, historical replication. And then he also asks, what are your thoughts? Actually, just go with the first one, and then we'll add on.
Well, I mean, that is kind of the rub. This hasn't happened in our lifetimes that we're aware of. So, how it's all going to break down is still part of what we're looking for. We're looking for some key things that are going to help in the supportive role, but the mechanism that they use to make that switch, or how that exactly is going to bang out, is what I would like to know.
Yeah. Wow, that was a good question. Good Lord. Okay, so
thank you,
transitional. Matt. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Transitional period from program rate de facto peg to a true market valuation of Iraq's currency. Pat brought up a good point about the historical aspect of this. Well, the only time we saw a country decimated more than Iraq was right now was World War II and the Marshall Plan. And some have equated this to the Marshall Plan, although Iraq does have a better foundation than what was had back then. But they're looking to promote Iraq to an industrial nation. Because their industry is just absolutely nuts of their resources. So when you talk about the de facto peg to a true market value, we still go back to support and sustain. I know people get tired of hearing me saying that, but that's the gist of it. They have to, they have to promote the industry. We saw it at the donor conference of what they have to offer, and I guarantee it. If you read the Reconstruction and Investment document in February of 2018, if you don't have it, message me. I'll send it to you. Read this thing, and you will see exactly where they're going. You won't listen to all these nutcases out there talking about Warka's telling us they just went 1-to-1, or this New Day holiday, we'll be rich by that. You won't listen to all that. You'll know exactly where they're going with this thing. And that when you talk about a timeline, That's it. We're watching to see them open their economy more towards or away from a state-owned sector to a public-private sector. They can't go complete private sector. That's where we get to the P3, the public-private sector partnership. And that's what we're waiting on them to do. And, I said earlier, they've laid their cards on the table through these guarantees, Iraq's open for business, the reconstruction and investment document. They've laid their cards on the table. It's time to play them. That's all we're waiting on.
Right. There is some great momentum. There is some great momentum, and that's what I've been trying to watch for, is the momentum of action. And the other day, yesterday or the day before, when that post came out about a body, supporting private sector optimization. I don't know how else to put that, but it was kind of, to me, a indicator of momentum. And so there's still momentum. Is there still things to do? Yes, but we got momentum. We don't have dead stop. We don't have holding back.
Yep.
So when and you keep droning, Bobby. If people are tired of support and sustain, that's their problem. That's the only thing that's going to. There you go. It's the only thing that's going to make us happy in this investment.
Right.
Yeah. No doubt. Very, very good question, though, and it's that's a question that people should look at and think about it. I mean, just think about it. How can they do this, or what's stopping them from doing this? Anyway, okay, what's next?
He had another part of that question, which was just your thoughts on how long you could speculate they can remain at a suppressed value and what kind of performance indicators to track. But, I mean, I kind of think answered that already.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't.
And when we talk about time frames and how long can they sustain this unofficial rate, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
That's when you have to look at their debt, and how do they repay all this debt, and yet continue to strive towards an open market economy? These debts, they're not going to go the way of the Paris Conference anymore, where people will forgive their debts. Hell, there was an article out the other day that Kuwait and Saudi Arabia will not forgive debts. I wouldn't either.
There you go. Yeah.
You've got all these natural resources and all these human resources. All these countries want into the Iraqi market, yet there is no market. You've got the oil market, and then you've got the non-oil market. The oil market's there, although they're under OPEC guidelines, and I think they just agreed to a reduction in production. But what's your other aspect of the market? It's the non-oil market. It's the non-oil aspect of the market, and that's what they're trying to jumpstart, and that's why these countries want into Iraq. They want into the market, but there's no market,
Right.
And that's what Iraq is trying to do. Did that answer that?
Yes,
yeah.
I think
there
so.
are sometimes I stray. You just got to slap the heck out of me and say, "Hey, get back."
No, you did good. You did good.
No, I think so. And that was the last question that was on there. So where do y'all want to go from there?
Well, I wanted to point out one thing that was on my mind that I thought is rather interesting. Is we're talking about the four stabilities. One of them is Iraq getting a handle on corruption. Of course, everybody sees that as being at the top of the list. But this most recent article with a body and unnamed former presidents with arrest warrants in hand, or such associations of verbiage is pretty interesting. And on the one hand, a body has the aspect of, well, these things could be looked at as political. and I know I've mentioned my thoughts on this before, but in my mind, you strike on corruption when the iron is hot. Damn the political season. You get me? Because political season or not, those who are guilty are going to call it a foul move. You get me? So whether they're using the excuse of a political season or whether it's a Thursday in July, they're not going to like it. So, I'm of the opinion that that's great stuff. These are supposed to be being handed over now to competent international authorities, because it's going to take more than local boys to get this done. Now, is it? Go ahead, Kaleigh.
I said this to Bobby earlier. I would think that now would be the time for him to be getting hold of all of that stuff and doing it before the elections. I know that people say that, just like you're saying that he'll say they're doing that so he can win, that sort of thing. But he needs to just trample it and get it done. Quit talking about it.
I think that would impress. I think that would impress those watching more than. Why wait?
I think that would be key to him getting reelected. I mean, not that I don't think he's going to anyway, but getting rid of all the people that have torn that country apart. What better way to get reelected in my eyes, anyways? But I'm not corrupt, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
I personally think what's holding him back on the corruption issue is the political fallout. And this is just me. If it was not an election season, it would be easier to act on. And now, you've got to separate Iraqi politics from American politics. Everybody says they're all corrupt and everything. I say BS. There's no way that our government is as corrupt as Iraq's government. Sorry. You can talk about the drain the swamp and all that stuff all you want. That needs to be done, but we're not as corrupt as they are. Don't give me that. But
it's it's what they learn at birth, over there, and it's just the culture.
It's
it's a rough culture.
Can you imagine? We talked about adding their family members and stuff to these positions that are open. Can you imagine, Pat? Like you're the head of I don't know, I've got the Minister of Communications in my head because we were talking about it earlier, and then you're just adding your brother and your dad and your sister, and I mean, that's corruption at its finest. The fact that you think you can add anybody anywhere and it's just fine. I mean, like you said, they're born that way. They're bred that way. They need to, and it sounds so mean, but I'm not trying to be mean or anything. It's just,
what we're asking for them to do is accept a paradigm shift.
It's kind of hard to do.
Well, it's just hard for him to go. And you know what? He did make promises last year that, come 2018, we're going to tackle corruption hard. Will this be enough to take it out of his hands and to Interpol and allow them to act on this and say, hey, nothing I can do. This is international stuff. I think
Go ahead, Bobby.
I just think the concern is for the safety of Iraq, because when you start going after these high up political figures, and yes, we can throw Maliki in there, what will this do as far as violence in Iraq? Will it promote militia-type sectarian violence? I'm sure that's a thought of theirs. They will. We've seen the Integrity Commission on a daily basis recover funds and stop corruption. So it's not like they're not acting on it. Then you have to go back to the donor conference. Again, a body has talked about the single window for investors. Mm-hmm. Okay, that takes the potential of corruption away. Okay, what's going on with that? That goes along with it's time to play your cards, my man. You've got to do something about this. Will the oversight and the electronic platforms that were proposed at the donor conference before or during and after, is that enough to take that cookie jar away and promote your market type economy? That's what we're waiting to see. Right. So,
yep.
Anyway, okay. Let's.
I'm
sorry, I'm lost. Where were we?
Well, Pat was just adding his kind of what he thought we needed to talk about, discuss. Pat, did you have anything else to add to that?
I was just pointing out one of the stables was that the corruption issue and where it appears that they are and going, at least from a body standpoint. And I don't for a minute believe that it's not hard for him at this season, being political and everything, to get what he needs done. And right now there's a big campaign to warn citizens against what they call ghost propaganda. I'm not quite sure if that was ghost people running for and them putting out verbiage as though so I'm not sure what that is, but they're pointing out that you got to be careful with what you swallow. I mean, that's the way I took it. You just in other words.
And Pat,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Going back to your political stabilities, we talk about the corrupt and everything like that. That's an instability, obviously. But if we look at the trending aspect politically, we are seeing some good movement between Erbil and Baghdad, the KRG and the GOI. There are people protesting left and right everywhere, mostly in Kurdistan now because of the corruptness of the KRG.
Exactly. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah. So, but when you could do 2 hours on political stuff, but we are seeing some good movement between Baghdad and Erbil. That's a great thing. That's a very good
positive
thing.
And that's a good momentum thing. No, that's if you're looking for
Exactly.
momentum, that's momentum right there. So,
and you know what? If you take what I just talked about a few minutes ago about oversight, single windows, electronic, it's the same thing they're doing between Baghdad and Erbil. They're doing the verification process. People were talking about where the salary sent. You bet they were. Not in full. Just what they could verify at the time. It's an ongoing process of check and verify. You can throw that back to the auctions. Everybody has to check and verify nowadays. Hell, this goes back to the 10,000 ghost soldiers that Maliki was paying.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're back to the ghost salaries as far as ministries are concerned, or the KRG is concerned.
And that's why
check and verify.
That's why the biometrics has been introduced as a way to weed out some of this false, these false.
When you talk to political, there was an article the other day about the relationship between Baghdad and Erbil, and one guy titled an article that this relationship fell from heaven now, and it was a funny title, but it talked about that they're starting to see, and this is in their wording. I'm just. It's just not verbatim, but what they were saying was that this new relationship is starting to work. So, for all the bad corruption stuff we talk about, we do see some working between the KRG and the GOI, which is an IMF requirement. The IMF in every SBA, LOI, Article 4, whatever, they have always expressed that the KRG and the GOI have to work together. That's one Iraq, period. So
right.
I'm sorry. Let's move away from the political, because we could hammer this sucker all day.
And I may have not drawn it out well enough, but that is part of the point, just so that folks listening to this call understand that we limit ourselves to an hour here, and any one topic itself to do justice by may take multiples. I mean, we could do a call every day for 30 minutes at a minimum, and it'd be cumbersome on us for sure. But the point is, there's that much stuff out there, and it hadn't always been that way. So, I know some people maybe have gotten used to the momentum, and it's, what excitement is out there doesn't thrill them anymore. You know what I'm saying? And you just gotta watch. And if you get your head around those things you're looking for, you won't be walking around in wonder going, what's going to slow it down? What's going to speed it up? It's mechanics. Mechanics make a thing move, and the mechanics to the economy are X, Y, and Z, and those are the things that we're watching because those are what matter. Dates that people throw out there, new day associations, all that kind of stuff. I get it, man. You're grasping at something. You're wanting to be the guy who called it, and that's admirable. But 5 minutes after this has happened, nobody's going to care or remember you. So what we do, and whether it trips somebody's trigger or not, I can't do no different. We stick with the what we knows, those things we can verify. Everything else has to go into the speculation category. And if it falls into the speculation category, just honestly, until something else comes along and I can verify that speculative, it stays there. And I don't spend near as much time trying to confirm or deny it as others might. But because there's not enough time in the day. If you're trying to learn the mechanics of the real, then those speculations, those Chinese families having to sign off on this, that, and the other thing, leave those on the closet, okay? Leave them in the closet, and they won't muddy your day, okay? It might be boring, our approach, but it's closer to the what is. Bobby, have I said that right? Kaleigh, what do you think? Am I rambling now?
Yeah, nope. Yeah, that was good.
Okay. Well, folks, we're about 11 minutes out. What do you want to do? You want to wrap it up early, or do we have anything to add?
Do you guys want to talk about just some of the, I don't know the right word, just some things that we've seen recently and make it quick and be done?
Sure. Bobby, do you have any of the stabilities on your mind that you might want to point out?
As if I would. No, it's we can't. Let's see. Some of the things we've been looking at. Okay, the budget. What's going on with the budget? Everybody's been asking. The budget was passed on the 3rd. 15 days from that for instant ratification would have put us at the 18th. Now some articles came out that it's when Massoum received it. Some say he received it the 11th. Some say he received it the 13th. We should see some movement on the budget sometime this week, I would imagine. That puts either at today or Wednesday being the 15-day window of him receiving the budget. Okay, so still looking for movement on the budget. As far as the economic aspect of it, we've seen, the World Bank come in with a fury over the last week, $300 million towards software and database updates, $6 billion over 3 years, as long as the GOI watches its expenditures. Kaleigh came out with an article this morning about the IFC. The IFC has reared its head again, and that's the International Finance Corporation. And here's one quote from it. This project that they're doing with this Assure International Bank, I hope I said that right, and proper governance, digital banking, blah, blah, blah. But one quote I took from that was, the project is part of IFC's wider strategy in Iraq that aims to support the private sector development and promote the growth of a non-oil economy. What did we just talk about during this call? support and sustain. Okay. So yeah, we've seen a lot of. I think Kaleigh pointed out today that was it the World Bank that gave $750 million for the rebuilding of bridges, or something like that. Yeah. So we're still seeing movement by the 2 or 3 letter agencies. As far as supporting Iraq.
They still have confidence and they're supporting Iraq still. They have not left and hey, y'all are doing what we said. They're still there helping them and moving them along. So great.
Yeah, and there was an article that the World Bank said Iraq is radioactive, and it was they meant was the potential that Iraq had, and
I could see how that could be misconstrued.
Yeah, but it was a great article. It really was. And then 2 hours later, a body come out in his presser. This must have been Tuesday of last week, and Iraq will be an economic boom. We're still in the potential stage. Don't listen to all of these people that hype you to the point of you're going out and looking at new cars and new houses.
You'll have plenty of time for that later.
Yeah, just mix with.
So that's some of the momentum too that's been going on. Is
no doubt.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And when we talk about the IMF is guiding Iraq towards this, that, and the other thing. Iraq is guiding us as investors. They're telling us where they're going. It's just not going to be suitable to our time frame, which is now. Do it now.
We wanted it last Thursday. Last Thursday was soon enough.
Yeah, well, and that's why I say, everybody sit tight and just watch what they're telling us. Don't go along these lines of speculation and hopium and false prophecies or whatever they want to call them. Yeah. So, no, I'm very excited. Somebody brought up earlier that I may have made the comment that it's so close I can taste it. No, I'm excited every day I come on to see what our researchers post, and it gives me an idea of we're still on the right track. So that's about it for me. Yeah.
That's real good.
Yeah, I like that. Everything you said was spot on.
Yeah, and so we're not that far off of what people are hoping for, and if you're looking for the right things, then your attitude your attitude for the day will be what am I trying to say here? You'll have a better feel if you watch those things that we're trying to point out, and not that we're all geniuses here, but we've been doing it for a while, and we kind of feel like that we have an understanding for those things we're looking for. And I know for myself, I don't run around putting out fires in my hair. I don't have a lot of hair, but I don't run around putting out fires there because somebody said this and somebody said that, because I simply stick to my principle of, if I can verify it, then great. If I can't, it goes in the speculation category, and I do not stress over it for 1 minute. Because I've also learned a lot of the talking heads who say these things have been wrong more times than I can count. So
they usually have an agenda.
Well, that I get that, and they want people to be excited, and it's not that we're not excited. It's the excitement is tempered in understanding where they really are, and not some kind of a pie in the sky thing that is not going to transpire the way that it's been shoved down our throat. You
Pat, that goes. It goes back to like the. I don't even know if we addressed the Worka deal, did we?
No.
No, I don't think.
Well, just real quick, this Orca thing, there were a few people out there in Dinar world that hyped this thing to the point of, people had to change their pants over this one. That's where we're saying, be careful with what you're reading, through all these things. I don't mind you bringing stuff into Dinar perspectives from anyone and asking about it. Say, hey, so-and-so said this, what's your thoughts on this? Do it.
Right.
That's what we're here for as a group. Bring it on in. But, just like the Worka thing, everybody jumped on that. They failed to see all that was a simple capital increase. So they're taking your money and giving you shares, and if that's the way you chose to go, by all means, I support that 100%. How you do your portfolio is totally up to you. But don't take what these nutcases are telling you that this is it. This is it. This is a 1-to-1 right here. No, it's not. It was a 1 IQD to 1, but which is an eighth of a penny. But all they're doing is taking your money out of your account and giving you shares in the ISX, however they choose to trade those shares. They were hurting for capital. The only good thing, and the one good thing out about that was that they do have CBI oversight on that. The CBI is guiding them. If you remember, Worka was put under guardianship years ago. I think it's great that they're trying to come out of that and be a viable bank, which they have been in the past. But don't take what people are saying without reading the article. When they talk about a capital increase, that's all it was. They were increasing their capital off of your money. If you chose to give them a yay and say, sure, take my money and give me shares, that means you have complete confidence in what the IXS potential is. The ISX does great nowadays. Try getting your money out of it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But, how you build your portfolio is totally up to you. But just be careful with how people are portraying these articles. Is that, this is it, baby. This is they're going international tomorrow just off of this article. No, they're lining their pockets with your money. Bottom line. So
you have to have an amount of healthy speculation in this too. In other words, I use speculation in two frames, but in this sense, you have to not want to swallow everything initially. I told Bobby we'll probably be a week after the RV, and I'm still trying to debunk the thing. In other words, have the approach that, does this sound logical? Does this sound mechanical? Does it, can you drive?
Can you verify it?
Yeah. Can you drive a car with one wheel? And there you go. Can it be verified? And those kind of things will help alleviate some of your angst. And I get that not everybody has the same ability to research as, us diehards here on the call do. But reach out. That's why we're here. Y'all listening to us are part of this group. Reach out. Don't sit around and get an ulcer over something that could be easily explained or help you to understand why that is an issue or not an issue. So, we're here for that reason too, and we want to make sure that we're clear on that. So, because, just so that y'all know, ask. I don't know where else to go.
There you go. And that's why it goes back to the fact of, we're a small group, we're getting bigger, but we've got a lot of great minds out there in our membership.
Yep.
It does not hurt, and I will not slap you on the wrist if you bring in stuff from other sites. I don't care. No. If it if it gets out of hand,
I don't care. So if there's any other issues with you bringing anything in, you message one of us, and we'll make sure. The whole point of this group was to make sure that everybody felt comfortable coming and asking questions that they had,
if they did not understand something, if they saw something that made them confused or frustrated. I mean, there is usually a very good answer for everything, and if there isn't one of us will go and find that answer to make sure that you guys are okay, but don't feel like you can't come in and ask any question, whatever it may be. Sorry, Bobby.
Yeah, and you know, that says a lot to the membership because it's not just us answering questions. You know, the members answer a lot of these questions, you know, and stuff like that, or pose a lot of the questions. That's good stuff. I think that's great. What Kaleigh just said was about, you know, that's what we're here for. This is an investment. This is, you know, we're not going to put on our blinders to stuff that's going on out there. Bring it in. Hell, let's talk about it. That's, you know, nobody has a trademark on these articles or anything like that, you know. But if you see these people out there that are portraying something that you're not comfortable with, or that you know, you would like more verification or another opinion, bring it in. I don't care if it's from Frank. I don't care if it's from Bruce. I don't care if it's from, I don't know, who are some other ones. Anyway, bring it in. You know, we'll talk about it. You know what? I will pat people on the back if they say stuff that makes sense. I like that. I really do. It doesn't have to come out of my mouth, Pat's mouth, Kaleigh's mouth, anybody's mouth. If it comes from someone and it makes sense and it's good stuff, I'll pat you on the back and say thank you for that. You know, that was good stuff. It doesn't have to be from our site. Yeah. You know,
the bottom line is true knowledge, understanding of what's going on, and not, you know, we're not here to ridicule the head necessarily that said it, because that's time consuming and serves no purpose. But to maybe steer or to help someone else see the logic math in that question is what we feel impelled to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, there was some stuff that was actually I did it. I'm sorry. I brought in a post about talking about this supposed new day for us. This Google current situation has been going on for the past 2 weeks. So even on, you know, for sure. You know, it doesn't. I mean, I'll bring it in too. I'd like for the other members to bring, because I know other members we've encouraged to go out and find all the information you can. I mean, that's what an investment is about. But like Pat and them said, you know, if you have a concern or a question about it, feel free to bring it in. We'll talk about it. You know, I'll try and stay away from you know, what appears to be bashing other people. I don't mean to. I really don't. Just some of the stuff they say is so stupid and so asinine that it's hard for me to control my fingers on the keyboard.
That's why we ask for you guys to read something and see if it makes sense to you. Does it honestly make sense? If it doesn't, then it's probably false. I mean, usually it's somebody just making something up. This is not just it's not just you know, winning the lotto. I mean, it's an actual investment. It's a country rebuilding itself. It's not some Joe Schmo down the road saying, oh man, I have this guy who knows this other guy who knows this other guy, and he told me it's going to happen tomorrow. That's not what this. It's a country. They're not out telling everybody it's going to RV or what other. I mean, there's so much other crap that has been said that I couldn't even make the stuff up. I really don't know how to come up with it. But,
and we haven't even hit the surface of some of the craziness that's out there.
No, that's
no doubt.
Really is some interesting things for sure.
Well, I tell you what, guys, we're at the wrapping up point. If we would like to say our goodbyes.
Yeah, I personally would like to thank anybody and everybody who brings stuff into the forum. I mean, it's just great to come on and see. I love waking up in the morning and see that people have been posting, because I can have my coffee and read, you know. And kudos to everyone who brings stuff in on your own time. and effort. So kudos to everybody. Happy birthday to Doug Woodward.
Happy birthday,
he's old.
Doug.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Doug.
And
we're so thankful for you.
Yeah, and I think Steve Carter had a birthday today. I saw that. Happy birthday to anybody who had a birthday today. Yeah.
Yep, or yesterday, you, Bobby. Happy birthday to you as well.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday.
I'm still recovering from that one. Thank you. But, no, just a great job by all the members. And, Kaleigh, thank you very much for providing this forum and running it the way it should be ran. Thank you.
Yes, and for my part, thank you, Kaleigh.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. I'm glad to be here, and I mean, Bobby, you said all of that very well, and I would just be repeating it. Thank you guys so much. All of you are amazing. I'm so thankful for Bobby and Pat just being able to do this, and Skeeter and Shannon. We have lots of people that help us and just keep the group what it is, and I'm so very thankful for all of you guys, and hopefully we will be out of here soon.
So. There you go.
And Nicole, thank you very much for being a part of this.
Nicole, yes, we love you, Nicole.
Yes.
See, I knew I was going to miss somebody.
Maybe we'll manage to drag Skeeter in next time. He had some obligations today. So, but for myself and the rest of the team, I want to thank everybody for putting up with us. Maybe you got something out of it today. That's what we're hoping. Look out for us to do this again, provided we're not superseded by an RV. Good luck with that.
I can taste it.
Everybody have a good night. Everybody have a good night, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye-bye.